The Secret War on Martin Luther King Jr., what the FBI tried to hide. They called him the Dreamer, the man who dared to stand on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial and tell America to live up to its promise of freedom. But behind the public speeches, behind the marches and the love-filled sermons, the U.S. government was watching him every step of the way. Martin Luther King Jr. wasn't just fighting racism in the streets. He was fighting the most powerful intelligence agency in the world, the FBI. And what they tried to do to him, what they tried to use against him, was darker than most people know. This is the hidden story of how the FBI tried to destroy Martin Luther King Jr. and how his faith and humanity made him stronger, even when the world turned against him. Welcome to My Blackness 100, where we uncover the untold stories of Black excellence, resistance, and legacy. Like, share, comment, and hit the notification to get notification of the next video. 1. A leader watched by his own government. The year is 1963. Martin Luther King Jr. has just delivered his I Have a Dream speech. The nation is moved, the world is watching, and the civil rights movement is gaining unstoppable momentum. But not everyone is celebrating. Inside the FBI headquarters, J. Edgar Hoover, the powerful and paranoid director, is fuming. To him, King isn't a hero. He's a troublemaker, a radical, maybe even a communist. Hoover orders his agents to spy on King, secretly, obsessively. Every phone call, every hotel room, every conversation. What started as national security surveillance quickly turned into something personal, a full-blown campaign to discredit, humiliate, and destroy the man America would later call a saint. The FBI gave this operation a name, COINTELPRO, short for Counterintelligence Program. Its mission was simple: stop the rise of a Black leader who could unite the people. And Martin Luther King Jr. was that leader. 2. The FBI's obsession. FBI agents bugged King's hotel rooms, tapped his phones, and followed him across the country. They recorded his private moments, hoping to catch something, anything that could be used to bring him down. When the FBI couldn't find real evidence of wrongdoing, they made the story darker. They began spreading rumors, whispers that King was involved in sexual affairs with women outside his marriage. They wanted to tarnish his reputation as a Christian minister and family man. The ultimate goal? To make the public lose faith in him, to make Black Americans question their own leader, to make the movement collapse from within. 3. The Blackmail letter. Then came one of the most disturbing moments in U.S. history. In 1964, the FBI sent King an anonymous letter. It accused him of being a fraud, a hypocrite, and a beast. Attached to it was an audio tape, recordings from their illegal wiretaps. At the end of the letter, they made a chilling suggestion: you know what you must do. Historians now agree that this was a suicide letter. The FBI wanted Martin Luther King Jr. to take his own life before he could accept the Nobel Peace Prize. He didn't. He stood tall, accepted the prize, and continued to preach love over hate, knowing his own government wanted him gone. 4. Was it all lies, or was there truth? Here's where history gets complicated. The FBI's recordings have never been fully released. They are locked away until 2027 under court order, so no one, not even historians, has heard the full tapes. But some of King's closest friends and respected biographers, like David Garrow and Taylor Branch, have said that King was not a perfect man. There's evidence suggesting he did have extramarital relationships, something that weighed heavily on his conscience. But the FBI didn't care about truth. They cared about power. They didn't expose King's flaws to protect morality. They used them as weapons to silence a man who dared to demand equality. Even if some rumors were true, the FBI exaggerated, manipulated, and fabricated details to turn a moral weakness into a public scandal. They wanted to destroy the dream by destroying the dreamer. 5. A man of faith under fire. So did Martin Luther King Jr. ever regret his religion, knowing how much the church and the system had failed him? The answer is no. He never turned away from Christianity. He wrestled with the hypocrisy of white churches that stayed silent during segregation, yes, but he didn't lose faith in God. To him, Christianity wasn't the problem. Cowardice was. He said, the church must be reminded that it is not the master or the servant of the state, but the conscience of the state. His religion gave him the strength to forgive, to endure, and to keep fighting without hatred. Even when the FBI was breaking the law to break him, King stood on love as his foundation. 6. Malcolm X. A different path, same struggle. While King was being spied on for preaching nonviolence, Malcolm was being watched for preaching self-defense. Two different men, two different paths, yet both faced the same enemy, a system terrified of empowered black voices. Malcolm's journey was spiritual too. He started with the Nation of Islam, following Elijah Muhammad, who preached black pride and separation from whites. But later, Malcolm discovered that his leader had betrayed the very moral standards he preached. It broke him, but it also freed him. During his pilgrimage to Mecca, Malcolm saw Muslims of every color praying together. That changed everything. He embraced true Islam, not based on race, but on humanity. He said, "I no longer subscribe to sweeping indictments of any one race. I believe in human beings." Malcolm didn't regret religion. He regretted blind loyalty to a flawed man. Just as King never regretted faith, Malcolm never regretted truth. 7. Two men, one mission. By the mid-1960s, something remarkable began to happen. King and Malcolm, once portrayed as opposites, began to move closer in thought. King's movement was becoming more radical, challenging economic injustice and the Vietnam War. Malcolm, meanwhile, was becoming more global, preaching human rights over just civil rights. Both men were evolving, and both were being watched, threatened, and targeted. Their different approaches pointed to the same goal, black liberation and human dignity, and that made them both dangerous to the powers that be. 8. The legacy that couldn't be destroyed. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated in 1968. Malcolm X was assassinated 3 years earlier in 1965. Two voices silenced, but not erased. The FBI's campaign of surveillance and defamation failed. King's reputation grew even stronger after his death. The truth of his message, that love is more powerful than hate, outlived every rumor, every lie, every tape. Even if the tapes released in 2027 confirms his human flaws, it will not change his moral legacy. Because the greatness of Martin Luther King Jr. was never about perfection. It was about courage. He didn't just preach love, he practiced it in the face of hatred, betrayal, and death. And that's why, more than 50 years later, we still call him Dr. King. 9. What this means today. The story of the FBI and Martin Luther King Jr. is not just about the past. It's a warning about power, fear, and truth. It shows how systems try to destroy movements by discrediting their leaders. It shows how black excellence is often targeted the moment it rises too high. And it reminds us that even when your enemies know your flaws, they can't erase your purpose. Martin Luther King Jr. was not perfect, but he was powerful. Malcolm X was not gentle, but he was genuine. Both men were human, and that's exactly why they were unstoppable. The final reflection. When the sealed FBI tapes are opened in 2027, the world will once again debate King's humanity. But history will already have decided his legacy. because no tape, no rumor, no scandal can erase the fact that he changed the world. He faced hate with love, lies with truth, and oppression with faith. Martin Luther King Jr. may have been watched by the FBI, but he was guided by something far greater, a belief that truth always outlives the lie. If you learned something new today, hit like, subscribe, and share this video because these stories matter. At My Blackness 100, we tell the real stories, the ones history tried to bury. Stories of Black courage, struggle, and brilliance that shaped the world. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and hit the notification button. Watch more videos on My Blackness 100, because Black history is world history, and our legacy is more powerful than any surveillance file. This is My Blackness 100. Stay proud, stay aware, stay unstoppable.